Good morning, Coach.
Hey, how y'all
Well,
doing?
good afternoon where you are. I'm on the West Coast, so it's still morning.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, I'm good. How you?
Out here driving.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Morning. Good morning.
Hello there, Mr. Hackett and everyone.
Hello, hello,
Hey,
hello.
how are you?
Great day to all of you. All right. I was trying to get in for a few minutes. I'm like, Lord, I can't even get into my own class. And Mark be having everything super secure, boy. Um, so let's get started. Um, Actually, we can begin with any questions or problems that any of you have. Let's troubleshoot those, and then we'll go into our topic for today. Actually, today we're going to talk about grant reporting. I was just awarded. Actually, I don't know if I took. I need to do better about announcing things. And so there was a $25,000 grant that was awarded, and then actually a 25,000, and then we did a proposal for a $4.2 million building. And so I need to announce those so that I can kind of dissect them and go through them with folks. But I need to do a better job of announcing progress. So for all of you, whatever problems or barriers you run into or any progress you want to share, you can go ahead and lift your hand and I'll call on you and we'll fix it all right now. All right, Alfreda.
Hello, Mr. Hackett. I'm with Rama Impact,
Hmm.
and I have two questions, but I will preface my first one.
Hmm.
You're aware of what occurred with our church building, which was located in Detroit.
Yes.
We do have an administrative office that belongs to the church in the metro suburban area with that address. It
Hmm.
is currently being used by the church and Rama Impact.
Hmm.
Applying for grants and funding, do we need to secure an address, which in the inner city, it would be a virtual address, or can we continue to use the suburban address for the church and Rhema Impact?
You can continue. You do not need another address. The address you have right now works perfectly fine. The thing that you're going to need to do is to create a $1 lease from the other entity, between the other entity and the nonprofit. And this is going to be important if you decide also to apply for federal grants. Federal grants are going to require that the nonprofit have a physical address, and instead of you purchasing a virtual somewhere, you will qualify simply by having a $1 per year lease.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Also, you know that our BBS is within 5 weeks.
Hmm.
We're including the anti-gun violence initiative for children within the BBS
Yeah.
to make it more fundable. So you told
Yeah.
us to get the knife and turn it.
Mhm.
We need to approach an easy donor due to the time constraint. Do we need to, in our package, do we need to have a package that will provide a letter outlining the event, or would a sponsorship letter suffice?
The sponsorship letter will suffice, but the sponsorship letter should accompany either a brochure or a one pager. The one pager needs to highlight the problem, any recent events, any recent gun violence, any statistics you found about gun violence, anything that's been in the newspaper, anything that's been in media about guns, especially as it pertains to your neighborhood, your city, even if it's not specifically your neighborhood. If it's your city, put it there. If it's your state, put it there. It might be a statistic that a college or university put out this year. You need the first part of your letter or your one pager to have the problem. Stick the knife in it and turn it. This is a big problem. Then you want to say your solution and your activity. So 5 weeks is not it's not a huge amount of time, but it's not a no-go either. It's still okay. In fact, lots of sponsors come at the last minute. The strategy you want to use, of course, you have your 10,000, 5,000, 4 1, 4 1 and then some 500s. Make them all available. But you want to think about all of the different entities that are needed. You definitely want to connect with your community foundation. You want to connect with your bank. And if your committee maybe has 12 people on it, and those 12 people have 12 different banks, you can approach every single bank manager with that sponsorship letter and ask them to sponsor. And you don't want, I mean, they're always thinking about financial literacy and youth services, but if you say it, then you make the connection for them. Say, well, we think that it's important for young people or for this community to have access to better banking. Would you like to be a sponsor and offer them checking services with your bank? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
awesome.
now you've made that recommendation to them. Definitely reach out to your city council member or your neighborhood leaders right now and say to them, we're holding this event, this is not Rock the Block. We're holding this anti-gun violence campaign or this peace camp or whatever it is that you call your vacation Bible school. You do not call the vacation Bible school. That
Yes.
will limit the funding. But whatever you call it, the community boot camp, the Save the Children rally for 1 week or whatever it is. When you go to them and say, we're doing this in your area. Can you help us connect with resources and funding? And you can say, do you know people that will donate food, companies that will sponsor products and services that we can host, that people will present their stuff to our folks? Maybe each day can be a day where information is provided because a certain entity is sponsoring it. For example, maybe a community college wants to come and talk about their programs and services. Another one, maybe there's a local mentorship program that wants to come and talk about their programs and services. It's fine for them to come. It's part of the sponsorship package.
Certainly.
Even if each one of them were to give at the lowest level on your package, which is $500, if you have 10 of them, then now you brought in $5,000 that did not come from the church tithe, the church offering, or the members giving out of their pocket.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
We just recently, unfortunately, in our area, had a mass shooting over the 4th of July holiday for a teenage block party. So the city and everyone is, trying to do something to curtail all of this violence with our youth.
Yeah, yeah. All funding, actually all business, period. And this is not limited to grants. All business, period, is about problem solving. And I am an optimistic person. I actually don't even like to talk about problems. However, inside of every problem is the money to solve it. We just have to excavate that problem. And you all are a church, and I mean, there's a reference in the Bible where Jesus said, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He identified the problem by saying, "You are laboring and you're heavy laden." They didn't tell him that. He observed that, and he stuck his knife in their pain and said, "You're not just living life. You are laboring. You are heavy laden. So come on over here, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, learn of me. My yoke is easy and my burden is light." In other words, he was saying, this is the problem you have, but if you partner with me, if you come over here, the way that I have to solve the problem is going to help alleviate the problem for everybody. You as a church group might not feel that you're going to solve gun violence for everybody, but you can say as a church group, we are going to approach this problem. And if we can just get one gun off the street, maybe you want to partner with the police station. If we can stop one person from being shot and hurt, maybe you want to partner with the EMS, like the ambulance company. If we can stop one family from losing a loved one, maybe you want
Yes.
to partner with the funeral homes. If we
Yes.
can stop one low-income family from suffering in this way, you want to partner with the county's Health and Human Service Department. Do you see how I'm pulling this out?
Yes.
Every single pain point has money inside of it. In scripture, you know that when they ran out of money, Jesus told them, go fishing, and whatever you find in the mouth of that fish, take that pearl and go pay it. Whatever you find in the mouth of the problem, take that money and go pay those bills so that you can lift the burden off of tithe and offering.
Thank you so very much, sir.
Mhm. All right. And let me repeat that list so you have some people to contact. The EMS, that's the ambulance people, Department of Health and Human Services with your county. Those are people that give out SNAP and EBT. Contact the police department. You want to specifically ask for the community policing. You always want to get the fire engine to come if you can, because people like fire trucks. You want to reach out to somebody that does funerals, get them to offer, they can do sponsorships. They'll probably also offer discounts on funeral packages. And always music and arts. So find somebody that does music and arts because you're probably going to have some type of entertainment anyway. Offer all of them sponsorships. All right.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. Next, Leon. Hey, brother.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I was saving the question you told me to save for the master class. So the question, I have two questions, but the primary question was how to make the nonprofit be a funder or a lender and finance people to make money, like become the bank.
How can a nonprofit be a bank or be a funder?
A funder. If you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and you said anybody interested in bring it up, and I want to utilize that resource, maximize it to the best of the possible.
Okay. All right. So there are a few different things. Now I don't remember exactly what I had in mind. So you can ask me a follow-up question if I miss it.
Yes, sir.
A nonprofit can lend money. A nonprofit cannot lend grant money unless it specifically got the grant to lend the money. There are some grants that nonprofits get, and those grants are specifically to lend out money. As a matter of fact, I applied for a grant for $400,000, and they said they actually declined my application, and they said this money is not for you to use for programs. This grant is for you to lend out, and we did not have a history of lending out money. So there are specific grants. Lots of them are federal grants. Some of them are foundation grants where they will give you money to lend out. You can also apply for what's called, they call them IDAs, individual development accounts, where a nonprofit will receive money as part of its program, maybe for business development, and say, we have a mission to help small minority-owned businesses to grow, and we want to give them money to help them grow. We want to lend them money and let them pay it back. So you can make it part of your program where if a business saves $1,000, you will match it by giving them $1,000. Of course, this comes from grant money. That's called an individual development account. And those are pretty normal and common. You can also receive money. Now, when you receive this specific type of money is unrestricted. Those are sponsorships, donations, and mission-related revenue. Those are unrestricted. And so that money that you receive from those, you really can do with it whatever you want. And of course, general operating grants. You can do with it whatever you want. Program-specific grants or restricted, you cannot do whatever you want. So that money has to stay aside. Sometimes people will put it in a specific bank account by itself, and that type of thing. But when you get sponsorships, mission-related revenue, and general operating, you can use those funds for anything. And when you want your nonprofit to lend out money, of course, I recommend that you do small amounts because there's always the possibility that somebody will not pay it back. Also, when you lend out money, it is normal to charge an administrative fee. There's CDFIs are a specific type of financial institution, a little lower than banks. They're nonprofits. They don't have storefronts. They look like regular offices, and they lend out money to small and minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses. Oftentimes they can lend out up to $500,000. Lots of times they do up to 50,000 with no credit check and no collateral. And I noticed that on a $50,000 loan, they will charge a $1,000 administrative fee. The money that they have received to lend out, that money came from grants, even though they do expect the person to pay it back. So this is how it goes. They will receive grant money as the collateral, and that way they don't have to, the person doesn't need collateral. But the person borrows, and when the person pays the money back, now that CDFI has the 50,000 that came from the grant as collateral, but they also have the money that was paid back by the individual. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
They started with 50 and now they have 100,000 so that they can lend out more money.
Yes, sir.
So it is possible. Our nonprofits have lent out money, small amounts, just $500 or $1,000 to businesses that are in our program. But those loans are largely forgivable. We're not going to go and confiscate anything or repossess anything. It's a loan. The idea is that we're teaching them to pay back loans because it's normal in business to pay back bills. But the other thing is that if they don't pay it back, it's not going to hurt us because it was part of our mission. It was part of our program, and it came out of something that was that was able to be lost. Like
Yes.
there was somebody that asked if they could borrow money to fix their food truck. Now, because they asked to borrow money to fix their food truck, we did a promissory note for them to borrow and a timeline for them to pay it back. Of course, they have not paid it back. But because it was in our program, it was not part of grant funding. It was we pulled it out of a sponsorship bucket to help small businesses grow. So we included in our report, and we're actually doing a grant report today. So I'll show you how to qualify some of the things that you spend. So we put it in a report, and we show it as progress that this person had a problem. They came to us. We gave them money to fix their food truck. They haven't paid it back, but we were able to cover the loss, and it doesn't hurt us, and it doesn't hurt them, and everybody grows and learns.
Fantastic. One last question. You mentioned a while back also about, I want to get clarity on this because me and my wife have the nonprofit, and you mentioned about as far as board, I'm paraphrasing, board members having the same last name and the address being the same. Can you give clarity about that, please?
Yes. With boards of directors, the board is the fiduciary of the organization. They're responsible for the whole thing. The board is actually more powerful than the executive director. The board has the final say. Every nonprofit requires a board. It would not have been approved or licensed or incorporated if it did not have a board. And there are a few rules, basic rules. They're actually whole courses that people teach on board activity. But board members, it has to be at least 3 people, and those people should not have the same address or the same last name. This triggers what's called a conflict of interest. And that conflict of interest is because the board is supposed to be people who care about the thing, but it's not serving their own ideas and their own personal desires. The idea of a nonprofit is that it's there for the community. So even if you have people that are loosely related or people that are on the board that know each other and are from the community, the idea is that all of this is for the community. The money that we're going to get goes to the community. It's designed to benefit the community, et cetera. And so when you have people that have the same last name, a reviewer might deny it because they have the same last name. If they have the same address, the same thing, because it looks like a conflict of interest. Now, I've known people that have slid through the cracks. But if you do that, and you still get incorporated, and if you do it and you still get your 501c3, each grant application asks for your board members, and they really are evaluating your board members. And if all the board members have the last name Brown and they all are at 123 Sesame Street, then that funding source is that grant reviewer is going to look at this and say, man, it's just a family trying to make money for themselves. And you don't want that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarity, Coach. Appreciate it.
Problem. Okay. Tanya.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Good morning. It's coming up.
Yes, it is. I was gonna share my progress, and then
Okay.
you said something else that I end up having a question about. So
And I
my
looked up
progress
something
is
for you. I looked up something for you.
uh-huh.
I was thinking, you had asked me about cars, but I wondered if you connected with the community foundation from your neighborhood.
You talking about alleys?
Mm-hmm.
So I have connected with them like 2 years ago, dealing with my travel agency business when when the pandemic hit, it kind of hurt my business. So I have had a line of a loan with them before to get that situated, but I haven't reached out to them for anything dealing with my non-for-profit.
Okay. All right. I think they should be a sponsor of this to support the local Black businesses because they have grant funds. They have received grant funds so that they can give loans. What I want them to give to you is a sponsorship so that they can show up at the Christmas in July and say to everybody else, we have loans if you need help with your business. Does that make sense?
Yes, and we do have vendors that have signed up. So the vendor revenue is considered my mission related revenue, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure that I had worded that right because a company had asked me about, they saw my flyer with the looking for vendors, and then they asked me about it. So we have vendors, we have resources, um all set up. Actually, we have more resources than we did last year, coming out this year. And I end up getting volunteers from Walmart. They have, that new process that they have to
Mhm.
apply for grants. They also have that portal where you can set up an event and different people can sign up
Mhm. Mhm.
to volunteer. So that's happening. And like you said, you're right. You gave me a little bit more confidence because I'm freaking out at this point. We don't have the toys that we had like we had last year.
Mhm.
And Walmart last year gave us a bunch of toys, baby strollers, blankets, jackets, all types of stuff. So we didn't get that this year yet, I will say, from them. But last year by this time, my garage was full, Carlos' storage was full. We was looking for places to put stuff. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
calm down a little bit because I still have like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
I
but
just did you get what I just sent to your phone?
yes, I got the
All right.
text message.
So these three, you should have these three foundations. One is Ronald McDonald House Charities. So you want to reach out to Martin Kanye. They're good with stuff for kids. And just let them know. Of course, you always want to ask for money, but they do good with toys. You get what I'm saying? You
Okay,
can say to them, we already have Walmart. They've given us volunteers, but we really need about 1,000 more toys.
okay,
And the Chicago Public Education Fund. So they have the Chicago and this is for any community. Whatever the school system is, the public school, there's also a foundation to the side of it that is there to serve those kids outside of school. So they are a funding source that's committed to helping kids that are in school, but they're not helping them through the school system. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the Chicago Public Education Fund has money set aside to support the exact families and kids that you're serving. So that's why I just sent you these three connections and let them know, of course, you need money, um, and you really want toys and you need help to make this a big deal. You want to leverage the connections you already have. If that manager at Walmart could write you a letter, even if you write the letter and let them put it on their letterhead, you get what I'm saying? That you can
Okay.
then show to other funding sources. Then now you have leveraged that relationship and you've attracted big brands. Because I guarantee you, Ronald McDonald House wants to be associated with Walmart.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
will get
between
on
you
that
and
today.
Carlos or your team, you just want to, and the text, the link that I sent you, it has the contact people. So you can call and know exactly who to talk to.
Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate that.
All right, no problem. All right. Next, was that Shamir? How you pronounce your name? Shameen Davis?
Shameen Davis.
Shameen, all right.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, good. How are you?
So
Oh,
I
hold
attend.
on. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Tanya, make sure you also get the banks.
Yes, I have reached out. So I have a personal relationship with US Bank. Um,
Mm,
the branch manager that came to do my Women Evolve Summit,
Hmm.
um, reached out to her as well. I also have reached back out to Truist a few times that when I came down there, that gentleman, he gave me his information. I haven't heard back from him with anything. And
Hmm.
I'm glad you said that because it made me think about the question that I have. So for my next Evolve Summit, I'm doing anybody. It's not just geared towards women, but it's geared towards youth and I would say youth and young adults up to the age of 25. And we're gonna do a small business. Those who want to start a small business and have a product or a service,
Yeah.
that way they can do it till the weeks I have it set up leads to what you call it, Black Friday. So with 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 that being said, when you was talking about the lending out money, you said foundations, any specific foundations I can reach out that will have the money that I can lend to them, because I want to, those that don't have the business already, I want to file their articles for them, whether it's articles of organization and corporation, whichever one we choose through the program best fits them. I want the program to pay for their business to get started.
Yeah, that does not have to be a loan. That's a normal business expense that is, people like to cover that with grants. So that doesn't have to be a loan. You can just you can just ask for the grant to pay for their incorporation. And you would simply say, these are small and minority owned businesses from low income communities. They have great ideas, and we want to pay for their incorporation so that they can do business officially.
Okay.
And the Chicago Community Trust, which is the second in that list, they should know people that you can go to.
Okay. I actually have two grants pending with them right now.
Okay. You can call and ask. Just you can't ask them about the grant that's pending, but you can ask them about the other stuff. They like that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Shameen, I'm so sorry. I just had that afterthought, wanted to get it out just to help her. What can I help you with?
absolutely, absolutely. So I am putting together a gala, and it was something that we've, thought about, and really we're trying to get it done. And I know, it's the timeline is a little short. So I wanted to make sure that I am hitting all the right notes to get maximum impact, so to speak, and being able to reach the people that I need to reach. So when I attended the session that you did about sponsorship and everything, one of the things that you were talking about is how to reach the sponsors. So I wanted to kind of revisit that with you. And I just wanted to make sure I had clarity about how to do that. You know, when you looking at the sponsors, once you realize which ones are the most connected to you and to your organization, are you said you would go into their nonprofit area and then go through it from that point of view to find out who is their community
Yep.
community
I can show you. I can show you what I mean. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is still up. Y'all, this is why my computer stays so full, because I don't close screens. Y'all remember this is from last week, 2 weeks ago. All right. Tell me one of the sponsors that you had in mind, or your city and state.
So SpaceX was one of the sponsors we had in mind.
SpaceX. All right. So I would type in SpaceX grants. And do you see here? Okay. So this is their portal for all of their proposals. Here they're asking for information about proposals. Is human space flight required? Blah blah blah. Yeah. Yeah, you're not trying to submit that kind of proposal. You want their grants. Oh, here it is, SpaceX Foundation. You just need to find somebody to send a message to. I would fill this out. Oh, sometimes people overlook this thing because they don't want to receive what's called junk mail. But when it's a reputable organization, this is actually where they'll tell you about all of their upcoming grants and opportunities. Donors and missions is where people donate. All right, you would send an email to one of these people. Let me see who is the best person. This person right here.
Okay, strategic partners.
I'm going to copy this link and put it here for you. All right. So whenever you're looking for sponsorships, you want the person that deals with the community. Now, this person, depending on how big the organization is, they may or may not respond. So you want to always email them because they need to be in the know. Let's see who else would be important. Are you in Washington?
No, well, so the organization is in Washington, D.C. I'm on their board creating the award ceremony, and I'm in California. And the award ceremony would be in California.
Okay, all right. Then there's the Vice President of Education. Space workforce. That is awesome. Development. Anytime you see development, that's the fundraiser. The fundraiser knows everybody. It's their job to know people.
So that would be the development person?
Now, you have to be careful because this fundraiser, they are raising money for SpaceX. But in order for them to raise money for SpaceX, they know everybody in the community. All right. So I would send the email and I would include this person, Suzanne Musgrave. I would include this person, Richard Cooper, because he's over communication and outreach. And I would include strategic partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Okay.
send an email to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're asking for partnership, asking if you can partner on something. You're not outright asking for sponsorship. Remember, when you go to businesses, you ask businesses directly, you ask them for sponsorship. When you go to organizations, you ask them for partnership, which turns into sponsorship.
So when you ask the organization, so are you talking about foundations or what
Any
what do you
any organization. So this is the SpaceX Foundation, right?
mm-hmm.
And you desire money from them in partnership. Like you want their logo and their name associated with your organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want something from them, but they, if you outright ask them for money, they're going to dismiss you. So what you
Mm-hmm.
want to ask them for is partnership.
Okay.
So that's the request. I'm reaching out to see how we may partner on some program initiative or some initiative. While you're in conversation with them, you want to say, we have a gala that kicks off our year. Can we list you? Are you all open to being listed as a partner? And then you send them your sponsorship list. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find that the richest people actually do not talk about money because money is really the lowest form of revenue. People who need it don't feel like that, but folks who have money don't really talk about money. So when you're engaging with these folks, especially because they're already well established, lots of people are asking them for things. You don't want to seem like you want their money. You want to seem like you are offering them a connection on your project. You're offering them something they don't already have. For example, if I reached out to them and I wanted their sponsorship because it's SpaceX and SpaceX Foundation, I would approach them and say, hey, this is Jay Hackett. I'm the founder of Black Wall Street, and we were wondering if you all would be interested in partnering with us on how Black-owned businesses can participate in the space economy.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So
Got
in
it.
turn, they're going to say, oh, wow, well, it's minority, it's Black, it's space, it's economy. Yeah, let's talk about it. And then in our conversation, I'll say, we have a 2-year cohort, um, a 2-year cohort of Black-owned businesses, and we're training them over the course of 2 years to do business in industry-specific areas. We would like for you all to partner with us so that we can prepare Black businesses to be vendors to space economy, whether it is supplies or workforce or whatever it is that you all need. Would you all like to be partners with us on this? And we'll have a more full conversation. They're like, okay, well, let's see where it goes. And then I will tell them, we kick off every year with a gala, or we end every year with a graduation. And our platinum sponsor or our program partner is always the $10,000 sponsor.
So let me ask you this. I wanted to do a gala, and the gala is an awards ceremony, and we choose people who either exhibit and the people aren't just individuals. It's organizations that or movies that have some space connection. People who are within the space community that have done something great. Organizations that are starting. There's a space tourism organization that we wanted to give an award to. People who write books about space that really have accurate whatever, right? So that sort of thing is what the gala is about. So I there's a thing called Interstellar Space Week in October, and I wanted to have the gala in that month. But, you know, I mean, based on what you were talking about, you need at least 5 months or so to get that thing together, at least.
That's
So,
optimal.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, what I was trying to figure out is maybe I could do a smaller version and then do the bigger version, you know, the following year, where I would have more time. But I thought we should kick off because Interstellar Space Week is the first time this has happened.
Mhm.
That
If you know that you know Interstellar Space Week is coming, and for everybody else in the class, what she's referencing is when I talked about picking a holiday that exists. You can also
Mhm.
create holidays, but you want to ride the wave of what's working. So Interstellar Space Week would be awesome, and giving out awards is a great way to attract high profile people.
Mhm.
Great way. So if you recognize movies or books or programs, you can recognize a high level space person. You can pair that person with a local person or an upcoming college person, somebody that's in the engineering department or astrophysics or something like that. You can let it kick off a scholarship. You can also ask SpaceX to sponsor an award that goes to an individual. Does this make sense?
Mhm.
There's another way for you to get their money and their logo and have them affiliated with your program.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
during the first year, you might say, we're going to have 1 award or 3 awards. And then in year number 2, you might say, we'll do 10 awards. But you definitely want to get started. I think it's a wonderful idea, and this website, this link that I just shared, gives you the leadership of the foundation, which not only has money but also has connection to more people who are in that industry and have money.
Got it. Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you. That was perfect. Thank you very much.
no problem, no problem. Okay, next, Megan. Megan.
Sorry, I have to be quiet. I'm in the office.
Oh, okay.
I put my question in the chat, but if they call me, I have to go.
Okay. Can you read it?
Sorry. Yeah.
Mhm.
I put the press release in there in that, but it's like I'm trying to figure out how to maximize my press release and like get it to more people because I mean I put it out, but it didn't really do great, and I don't know. I'm not sure why, but I would
Mhm.
like to do better, and I don't know what to do now to make it like to pivot. You know.
Where did you put it out at?
On PR.com, and then I sent it to like local news stations in Washington DC here, where the adoption conference was earlier in the month. And then so that was in Texas, and then Northern California, Southern California.
You can put it through eNewsWire
Okay. I did not.
and they'll go out nationally. Um, and I would change the title.
Okay.
The title says Birth Mom Buddies launch a petition to raise awareness and support for birth moms. That does not catch people. So when you're trying to catch people's attention, you want to identify, excuse me, pain points or pleasure points. And you want to start with that. So because Birth Mom Buddies does not yet have the national recognition that you're going to have, you want to say something like local organization launches petition to raise awareness to support birth moms. Or you want to say local organization tackles disparities for birth moms. You want to let it be something that Mary in Idaho is going to read, Sally in New York is going to read, Tiffany in Georgia is going to read. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's going to draw them in. And in order to do that, you have to think less about your thing and more about their thing.
Okay. 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 And then I'm also I got okay, it's been a really cool week for me. But so I got JanSport. They're doing this whole thing with mental health, the Trevor Project and all this stuff. So JanSport is I opened up an email for like sponsorship and they responded same day, which was crazy. I didn't think I was gonna response. And then so they're actually willing to work with us to do go bags for birth moms, like so that they don't have to pack their own bag to go to the hospital and like not put the baby clothes in because that sucks. And so my question is how can I get other brands on board now, like for like toiletries and stuff like that? Is there like some place to go for that, or do I go to in each person individually?
Yeah, there's no single place for all of them.
Okay.
I'm working on creating that
Right?
that, that database.
Shoot, I got
But there's no single place for all of them. You do have right now, you have to do it the old-fashioned way.
okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So and that would be a sponsorship with products or like in kind donation, or what would I be asking?
That is considered that's considered a sponsorship. You can put it in kind or you can put it in materials. It doesn't.
Okay. Yeah, so that's exciting too. So yay team. Okay, thank you.
Right.
I have my
Did I get everybody's question? All right. Well, today, what I want to go over with you all is grant reporting. Whenever you get a grant, you're going to need to report on that grant. And every grant report is different. We received a grant for $70,000, and I'm going to show you all that grant report. And I'm going to finish it with you in real time. Now this is kind of double duty because it's kind of like my homework. So do y'all want to see this in real time?
Sounds good to me.
Of course we do.
I don't mind helping you with your homework.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
That's all right. Okay. Okay. All right. So we received this grant is $70,000. This is from the county. You know, when you when you deal with smaller grant amounts, they don't ask for as much information, but the more money you get, the more information is requested. It just kind of comes with the territory. Okay. So you have to get ready for it. And when you're going after larger amounts of money, you don't want to be surprised by the things that are requested. All right. So this can you all see my screen?
Is that something you formatted?
No. They send this to you. All right. Anyway, so this is the report that was sent from the county. So all we have to do is fill in the blanks. So you'll see at the bottom they have 3 tabs. All right. One is the narrative, the next is the results, and the next is the budget. Now, whenever you are reporting on the grant, these 3 categories are normal. Every one of them is going to have a different format. This one happens to be Excel. So you see these words it's so small, can't nobody read them, right? Well, what we do is we write this for quarter one, we wrote this paragraph. You write it in Word, and then you copy and paste it into the box. And the narrative tells the story about what you did during that time period. So quarter one is from July 1 to September 30th. This is what we did. Quarter two is from October 1st to December 31st. That's what we did. Quarter three is from January 1st to March 31st. That's what we did. And quarter four is here. And see, it's not done. It is what we did for that quarter. And so I asked my program director to write a paragraph about what they did, and then I'll update it and copy and paste it into the thing. But it's going to discuss activity from April 1st to June 30th. All right. So then the results section. The results section. These are the outcomes that we promised. Okay. The number of hours of technical assistance. Our goal is 100 hours. We're already at 458 hours. The number of new businesses created. Our goal was 5. We created 1 new business. Actually, we created more than that. So we'll update that number here. Our goal was the amount of revenue reported by cohort members via profit and loss statements. The goal was 250,000. We have reports that validate 528,000. The number of people registered for local cultural events. We promised 1,000 people. And of course, we're going to reach it because quarter four is where we had GrindFest. So this is how you do this. So in the beginning, y'all, when I would write grants, I would think big and say, we can do this and this and this and this and this. And then I got with the more experienced nonprofit leader, and they said, well, Hackett, you're doing too much. You actually need to lower these outcomes. And when they said lower the outcomes, I actually felt like, oh man, it's going to look like we're being lazy, because part of systemic racism is that Black people are lazy. It's just a message that comes with systemic racism. And of course, Black people never have been lazy, especially not in America. But what ends up happening is we have these trauma responses where we try to disprove people. We try to outdo the expectation. And we don't know that the reason we're doing it is because we think that people think that we're lazy, or we think that people think we're such and such. And so we prove them wrong. But when you actually start to overcome this imposter syndrome and you stop feeling like a stranger in these environments, and you actually settle in and like, you know what, I belong here. I'm not a guest here. Like, I have equal rights and equal opportunities that everybody else has. Then you start to flow differently. You have less anxiety. And what I did, I adjusted my numbers to match the numbers of the typical business development programs. And when I did that, I still felt like, man, this is not enough. But the reality is that I needed to manage my program and I needed to manage the contract. So the contract is what, the program is my dream. The program is is all of the bells and whistles, is how I think everything should go and everything will go. That's the program. That's my heartbeat. Okay. But when you're managing contracts, those are the things that you are required to do and you're required to answer for. So my program might have the goal of doing 1,000 hours, but I'm not going to go into the contract for 1,000 hours. I'm going to go into the contract for 100 hours. Does that make sense to y'all? Because the contract is what I'm required to do. The program is what I want to do. So you have program where you manage your project, and then you have to manage your contract. When you're managing your contract, you want your outcomes to be so realistic that you knock it out of the park each time. So when I say 100 hours of technical assistance, that's because I know for a fact, come hell or high water, I'm going to provide at least 100 hours of technical assistance. And you see that I outperform that. So in my statement, I'm able to write that we outperform our goals each year. Anybody have any questions about what I've said? Project management versus contract management. So when you do, go
So
ahead.
can I ask about how do you know, or how do the people know that the what you're what you're saying, like what you're saying is that you don't have to report something that is above average, right? You just
That's
want to stay in that average or what is expected range, right?
contract management for
For
contract.
contract management,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So how do so so basically what you put on paper, which is what you have,
Mhm.
is what the expectation is. How do the people know whether or not you are above or below expectation? Is based on what you tell them, or is there a means to check it out, or or is it just reporting and that's it?
Um, it is, well, it can be both. There are some foundations that do not ask for validation. They don't ask for any data. They just ask you to do a report. Okay. When you're doing business with a county or city government, they're going to ask for some type of verification. For this grant, we produce invoices. And for this line item of the number of hours, we actually just turn in a report that says this is how we capture the hours. We might have people sign in. We might have the counselor or the coach do a like type in the numbers in the computer. And so at the end of the quarter, we have, and that's actually what we have here. We have a report that we pull from Salesforce that shows this is the number of hours that were provided this year. I mean, this quarter. Um, they don't ask us for the details, but they do ask us for that report. And that's because this is county government. Anytime you get money from a government, anytime you're doing business with a government, they're going to require paperwork. You kind of just have to get ready for that. But with foundations, they don't require it. And there are some grants, especially federal grants, that I have declined because the paperwork was so much.
Wow. So is that the one that was so much? Was that government or state? What was that?
The one that I declined was federal. Actually, no,
Federal,
it was state.
state.
State
Okay.
grants are largely reimbursement grants. So I don't like reimbursement grants because you have to spend the money first and then they verify and then they give you your money back. So you might be 60 days in the hole before you get your money back. I don't like that. And so that's why I don't like state grants. But some of my clients do, and they get them. Matter of fact, in January, we were part of a group that got a $12 million grant. 1.4 million comes to us, and we are a sub on that grant. We are a sub on that grant. So it's still reimbursement, but we don't have the paperwork requirements that the lead does. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, because I was just wondering, like is all the paperwork the same? And it is, but it isn't, right? Just what you're
Okay.
saying is,
Oh,
this is something that was given to you. You didn't have to create it.
right.
Because
I
what
did
because
create
because
this.
the other question I had is if everybody's asking for similar things,
Mhm.
can you back into what the reporting is?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, like
Yes,
you.
yes, yes, you can. Actually,
Okay.
so the way it goes, when you write your grant proposal, you list all of your goals, but that proposal is not the say all end all. That proposal is just a proposal. So you go from grant proposal, And if the grant is awarded, then you go to grant contract. And when you get to grant contract, you have the opportunity to negotiate. This list of goals right here is what I negotiated. This is not part of the original grant proposal.
Mm.
All right.
So,
the grant
so
proposal
you
had
get
much
to
bigger
see,
numbers.
you
Oh,
get
yeah,
to
you-
see, and then you say, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, all
That's
this
correct.
other stuff. I see. Got it. Got it.
Correct.
Got it.
I asked them for $150,000 and I'll give them the moon. They said, well, we only going to give you $70,000. And then they said, what can you do with that? I said, well, we'll give you some mountains and clouds. And they are perfectly fine. Matter of fact, they asked us, what can you do with 70,000? And this is what we came up with. And then they said, how will you verify it? And so we told them how we verify.
How did you verify it? How do you verify it? With
When
this?
the number of technical hours, when we meet with people, we document the hours that we met with them. Number of businesses created, this is the number of LLCs we pay for. The amount of revenue, this is the profit and loss statement that people turn into us. And the number of people registered is our Eventbrite registrations.
So do you have to have that as your verification, like you screenshot your Eventbrite, you have all these ways to verify that.
We did it one time.
Okay.
One time. So in the beginning of at the beginning of the year, we showed them a document of how we capture. We showed them, well, this is for LLC. We just showed them the invoice that we paid for one LLC. For the number of revenue, we showed them an empty profit and loss statement. And for the number of people registered, we showed them one of our events on Eventbrite, the number of registrations on Eventbrite. So that was a screenshot. We did that one time, so that showed them how we capture, and they trust us to follow that and report honestly each time.
I see. Okay.
All right.
Now, so is this a grant that you get every year or you apply for every year?
It is something that I apply for every year, but you cannot assume that you'll get the same grant from the same organization every year.
Right. Okay.
I think I've gotten this grant. I've gotten a grant from the county each year. Yeah.
So, Mr. Hackett, may I ask, the grant report is submitted after the fourth quarter?
No,
The
this
projection
grant report is submitted each quarter. So what they do, you see that there's a column for each quarter.
Yes, sir.
You actually have, this is the fourth of its kind. It's just that in quarter number one, there was an empty box here that we had to fill in. Then they sent it back to us and said, now for quarter two, fill in the column there. For quarter three, fill in the line there. And now they sent it back to us and said, now give us quarter four.
I see.
It is in fact the same document. And when I save the document, I save it, you'll see the nomenclature, Q3, I have a Q1 and a Q2. And once I update this, I'm going to change that to Q4. All right, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So when you're dealing with your project management and your contract management are two different things. Your contract is what you have agreed to on paper, and you want to be modest in what you bind yourself to in contracts. Now, if you don't reach your goal, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to ask for the money back. That's not how it goes. But you do have to answer for why you did not reach your contract goals. But when it comes to program goals or project goals, you don't have to answer for that because that's your dream. That's your pie in the sky. That is not what you have committed yourself to. But the contract is what you have committed yourself to. So this is a $70,000 contract. And for the $70,000, I'm going to provide 100 hours of technical assistance. Inside that technical assistance, I'm going to help 5 businesses get created. Inside of those businesses being created, and with this technical assistance, I'm going to help people increase their revenue by $250,000. And along with that, I'm going to recruit 1,000 people for local cultural events. Some of these numbers are actually the same individual. All right. For example, it might be that one person has received 40 hours. That same person, we helped them create their business. That same person generated $50,000 in revenue, and that same person had an open house for their business and brought in 20 people. I'm counting all of these things as part of the report. So these goals, even though they're separate categories, they might be the same person. And when you are competing for contracts, competing for grants, and working on your reports, you have to be able to honestly report on every single line. But line number 14 has nothing to do with line number 15. Line number 15 has nothing to do with line number 16. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Also, when you are doing business with counties, governments, cities, federal, you can always ask them what their standard is. If they don't have a standard, you can ask them, what did the people do last year? Can you give me an example from a program that was funded last year? So I was able to ask the county, can you tell me the goals that a business development program had last year that got funded? And the reason that I know that these numbers are customary, I didn't have to guess. I looked at what they approved last year. And this is the advantage you have, that some people don't know that when you're dealing with governments, all of that information is public. It is available to you through the Freedom of Information Act. So no matter what your business is, whether for-profit or nonprofit, you can ask them for last year's award, last year's goal, last year's spending. You can ask them for last year's budget, last year's revenue. You can ask them for any piece of information. Actually, you can also ask them for their emails. And because they are a public entity, they have to give it to you. And you can use that to base your proposal on. I remember one of my clients, one in Maryland, they were doing an apprenticeship program. They in the bid, they were going to offer to do the apprenticeship program for $2,500 per person, which would have brought them about $1 million for everybody all together. But I told them, I asked them, I said, where'd you get the 2,500 from? They said, that's just how much we charge. I said, don't ever do that again. It was like, what you mean? I said, don't just come up with what you charge. Ask them what the standard is. And they said, well, how do we do that? So I told them, contact the office, ask them for last year's approved budget. And they, of course, they sent it. When they sent last year's approved budget, they saw that the standard is actually 4,500. Well, it's actually 4,700 per person. So what would have been a $1 million contract ended up being a $3 million contract because they were able to charge more. And the only reason they were able to charge more is because they now know what the standard is. You all can use the Freedom of Information Act, whether it is for your grant proposals or for your business bids or for contracting with government business, and you can just ask them, what is the standard? And if you want to be a little bit less, of course, because when you're dealing with governments, they want the lowest, the reasonable, responsive, the lowest reasonable, responsive, reasonable, responsive, responsible offer. So they do expect you to be a little lower, but you don't have to be a whole lot lower. Just 10% is fine. They want it to be reasonable. They don't want you to try to do more with less because they're going to question whether you can actually keep up the pace. Like you don't want to have one staff member to 100 clients. They're going to wonder, can you really deliver? You want to ask them what the ratio is. All right. And then you want to be responsive, as in you want to answer all of their questions. Okay. Now for the budget. For budgets, when you're doing contracts, and especially when you're doing grants with government, city government, county government, you have to get accustomed to including invoices. So what we do, my accountant uses QuickBooks, and they produce an expense report, and then I ask my team to match the expenses with an invoice. So each expense has an invoice. And in order for you to make sure that each expense has an invoice, you just don't spend money without an invoice. And what I found is a real easy way to do it is ask people to I like to doing things electronically because it automatically saves and you can search it. So if you tell people to send you an invoice that allows you to pay online, then it will automatically send you a confirmation, and that confirmation becomes your receipt or your invoice. I'll say it again. I actually ask people, um, sometimes people want to do Zelle and Cash App and things. Those are not appropriate for grant activity, especially when you have grants with governments. And if you have contracts with governments, you don't want to do that either. And your accountant, your financial professional is probably going to give you guidance that says you need to stay away from things like that because they're not so easily tracked and traceable. You want to become part of the invoice world. So you tell people to bill you using an invoice with an online payment link. You pay them with your card or you pay them with your online payment system. It automatically sends a receipt to you, and you just add those receipts up. You match the expense to the receipt and you submit it. So these are actually real numbers, and you'll see that each column shows what I spent then. I have not completed column number 4 yet. I'm actually going to complete column number 4 right now. It shows that I have $9,863 left. Whatever amount of money I do not spend, I need to turn it into them by July 15th. But of course, I'm not sending them nothing because I'm going to spend everything. Well, I have spent everything, and I just have to show it. Anybody have any questions before I start filling in these boxes?
So I have one question. I'm uh, interested in doing some real estate development and getting money from city and state. And, you know, when I'm looking at this, and this looks like what would be required, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for what I'm interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the contractors give you invoices and everything. Do you, in addition to filling in this report, your quarterly report, do you also have to have the invoices attached to everything that you sent out?
What we do, because when you're dealing with government, you want to provide them as much as necessary so that they don't have more questions. So what I do, actually, I'll show you the report. All right, can you all see this?
Okay.
All right. So this is the report that comes from QuickBooks, and this is my contractor category. These are the people that I paid: Doula, Entrepreneurship, Aisha Adams Media. There's some others that I paid. Fox Management. Well, these are the contractors, and these are the professional fees. So this comes up to $9,823.83.
And that comes from QuickBooks?
Yes. Yeah. When you put your information into QuickBooks, you can tag it for that grant. So this is the report of everything that's tagged for Buncombe County. And so because it's tagged for Buncombe County, when it pulls a report, it just pulls Buncombe County. And I'll see if one of my accountant maybe can do a QuickBooks overview. Would y'all like that?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll see if she can come one day. So she provides, they press a button, produce this report, and now it has all of the money that I paid to the contractors this quarter. So in order for me to fill in the box, all I needed was this total. However, what I send in addition to the report, I actually send a stack of invoices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 invoices. I send all 6 invoices as proof that I paid it. Most foundations do not require that. Government grants do require it.
So does it have to be marked paid? Like you have to take a picture of it and it says paid by the organization?
They don't really they don't go into that level of detail. The most important thing is you don't want to say that you've paid something and you did not pay it. In the grant world, there's a lot of trust, a lot of trust. And anytime that something looks like you didn't do what you said, then now they raise question about everything you say. So all of my invoices don't say paid on it. All of them don't say paid. But the understanding is that when I send them something showing that it's been paid, it's because I've paid it. I'm not going to tell you I paid something that I didn't pay. I'll show you all one of my receipts. Right. Can you all see this?
Okay. Okay. I see.
That's that. Now, the other thing that I need to look at that's not clear, it might present me a problem. Every grant has a start date and a stop date. So your grant activity needs to happen inside of the grant period. This invoice, well, this receipt was paid, you see, July 1st, but the grant period ended June 30th. I'm going to have to send them something that shows that this work happened before July 1st. Because when they say June 30th, they do not mean June 30 and a half. They really mean June 30th. And $0 can be $0 can be spent from this. After that. So I have to make sure that everything was done before June 30th. So it would look like it's common sense that if I paid it on on July 1st, that it happened before July 1st. But when you're dealing with governments, common sense is not common. All right. So that is a grant report. What questions do you all have? All right. So if any of you do not already have the nonprofit booster, we want you to get on it and try it. It's stuff that you're going to need. I see the question, can it link to QuickBooks? Yes, you can integrate it with QuickBooks. Yes, it can manage all of your emails. Yes, you can track your givers and your donors with it. Yes, you can actually even connect your social media to it for all of your events. All of you have access to the 14-day trial. All you have access to the 14-day trial. And if any of you got the software during the first year, please know that the first year your membership to Grant Suite is expiring. You all that got it for the $297 to kick off, it's been 2 years, and so that is expiring. And I want all of my students to get it. Somehow it slipped out through one of our groups, and other people started picking up Grant Suite. But I have a special deal for you all, and that is what I call the lock-in, where you get Grant Suite, and you don't have to pay a monthly fee ever again. You get the AI version and all the future versions. It won't expire after a year. It won't expire after 2 years. You'll have it for the single flat fee of $997. So that's Grant Suite forever. You don't have to pay the $5,000. You don't have to pay the monthly. You just pay the one-time fee, and you get Grant Suite. Of course, you get the whole library of trainings. And I think there are some of you that are here that they're only in the monthly, and you might not have the full library. But with the lock-in, for these people, these are special people. These are the ones that say, okay, we're locked in, we're going long term. You get the software, you get the whole library, and all upgrades for one flat fee, and you never have to pay a monthly fee again. That's $997. So if you kind of were to look at it over the course of a year, kind of like $3 a day, and then you can actually put that amount inside of one of your grant requests, and now you've gotten that money back. Or if you put it inside your sponsorship, $1,000 is really nothing compared to what's in there. If you decided to use Grant Suite for yourself, or you decided to use it as a business, whatever it is, you can, inside of Grant Suite, you actually can set up nonprofits for other people and not even have to think about it, because the system does it for you. It fills in the blanks. So it's almost fail proof. You won't mess up anybody's application. It does it for you. If that was the only thing you wanted to do, you could do that and recoup. So we made that available. My goal is to get more people using Grant Suite so that we can have more information. We're going to do a launch of the AI version in just a few weeks. So we want you to get on it. So if you're interested in that, in the lock-in offer, go ahead and let me know by saying me. I think of course, we can't put it out to everybody. So I always have to limit the numbers. So we'll take about 5 people. If anybody here want to get the lock-in, go ahead and type me so we know who you are. All right. Well, any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Hackett, this is Alfreda Ross again with Rama Impact. We gave Grant Suite. We have it for 2 years. Do we need to lock in again?
It will expire after the 2 years.
Okay.
But if you do the lock-in, it won't expire ever. And Granny, yeah, I think Granny, yeah, some people paid $2,000 for Grant. There are people that paid $5,000 for Grant Suite, and they pay $5,000 for just 1 year. Grant Suite is actually what me and my writers use, and so there are people that paid thousands of dollars for Grant Suite. So this is definitely a special. And the $2,000 that people paid for Grant Suite, depending on when you came in, that will expire. Actually, all of the plans will expire except for the lock-in. The lock-in never expires. So if you have Grant Suite and you don't want the lock-in, I want you to use it. Use it often, use it a lot. Ask questions, use it, provide feedback, the whole 9 yards before it expires. But if you know that you want something that never expires, then you can just lock in. All right.
May I ask one other question, please, sir?
Sure.
Does the grant suite include the nonprofit booster?
The nonprofit booster is the software that you use to manage your nonprofit. Grant Suite is a software you use to raise money for your nonprofit.
Thank you.
So your like how you manage your nonprofit, the emails you send out, the newsletters you create, the social media that you do for your nonprofit, all of that stuff to manage your day-to-day operations, that's what you use your nonprofit booster for. Grant Suite is specifically about raising money. Right. And there are people that have one and not the other.
Coach. Hey, and I think Mark may be putting the answer in there. I just wanted to know the difference because I want to get the booster, but I was a little confused between the pricing. So the $9.97 is your support team will set it up?
No, the set what up?
The booster.
Okay.
I think sir, she's referring to the done for you setup. If they wanted to they wanted us to set it up for them. It's an add-on. Yeah, it's an add-on. It's a
setup
setup,
their
yes, sir.
what? To set up their booster?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And you can, is that Alice Marie?
Yes, sir, it's me.
You can meet, yeah, you can Mark, you can talk with her one-on-one. She's already in Power Pages.
Yes,
She
sir.
can talk with her one-on-one to just to see exactly where she is and what she needs.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't hear you. Say it again.
Mark, whenever it's good for you, just give me a call. That'll be fine. I'll wait on you to give me a call and we can discuss it offline. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem, no problem. Alfreda.
Sir, could you tell me what is the cost for the nonprofit booster?
The nonprofit booster is $97 a month. So the booster is all the stuff that you use to manage your organization. So your email campaigns, your databases, your webinars, your videos. The nonprofit booster also builds your budget for you. It calculates your volunteer hours so that you don't have to think about like how many hours they have translated to money. It actually calculates it for you. The nonprofit booster is what you use to manage your nonprofit. It's what every nonprofit needs. In fact, you are if you're managing a nonprofit, you're spending about 5 times this amount each month on all the individual things you need. This allows you to just have one fee and it covers everything per month, that $97 a month. So you don't have to have a separate email server, separate campaign server, separate thing for your budget, separate thing for your webinars or your videos. Everything is in one place and it's all for that $97.
Thank you, Mr. Hack.
Granny T asks, can your nonprofit booster be used for multiple nonprofit organizations? Yes. All right. All right.
Will you be opening up Power Pages again? Because that was like, well, when you did that, that was like $3,000, huh? It was a good deal. I know.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Power Pages. When we opened Power Pages, it was a great deal. It was a lot of work, a whole lot of work, lot of work. And we opened it up. I think it was 4,000. And then once we finished that, it increased to 10,000. It is 10,000 right now. And Power Pages is not yet open. But I will be opening it once we get to that point. The thing that makes Power Pages great, and those of you that don't know what Power Pages is where we take and we write all of your grants for the year. So that's 12 grants that me and the team write for you. So this is not about you learning about grants. It's about us writing it. The other thing with Power Pages is that you don't I'm not being mean. I'm not being funny. I'm just saying how it is. Sometimes people have great ideas, and some ideas are more fundable than other ideas. Well, if I'm serving you at a lower level, I'm going to let you come up with your own ideas. You get what I'm saying? But with Power Pages, I don't let you come up with your own ideas. With Power Pages, I hear what you say, and then I tell you what the best idea is. So I'm serving at a higher level, which makes me come off kind of bossy. And I would like to say I'm not bossy, but I am. I am. So with Power Pages, I listen to the whole thing and say, this is the thing that's more fundable. This part is not as fundable. And we write grants based on the thing that's more likely to be funded. So there are a few of you in here that are part of Power Pages. And so you see how it works. You get the 12 grants, you get all your newsletters, you get, oh Lord, the transplant center is calling. So I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna finish my statement. I'll call them back. But you get your grants written, you get your newsletter, you get your webinars outlined. We also do a research paper for you so that you can pull from whatever you need, and you can post that research paper on your website so that you actually sound like you know what you're talking about. Even if you only know the community aspect, we research it and do the technical aspects of it for you. You also have all of your budgets, so you don't have to think about that. And we do your website, your nonprofit optimized website. So you can just set it up. Power Pages, my idea was, what can I do to put it all together for them so that they don't have to figure it out? Because sometimes I'm teaching, and people want to get it, but there's a bit of a learning curve. And while people are learning along that curve, grant deadlines are passing. And so Power Pages was my way of getting you ready before you got ready. You get what I'm saying? And so if people are interested in Power Pages, just direct message me. We have, and we'll just create a waiting list. But if you know right now that you're interested in Power Pages, direct message me Power Pages, and we'll see what we can do in terms of getting you scheduled, because it does take a lot of work to do all of that stuff. And in order for us to do it, we have to make sure that we have the staff and the time to do it right. All right, does that make sense, y'all? All right. Anything else? All right, y'all. At the end of the month, we're going to be training on how to get a building debt-free. So last month we taught debt-free events. This month we're going to be talking about buildings. So anybody that's in Power Pages, you get anybody that's in Power Pages or anybody that's in my advisor program, of course, you can come for free. The other tickets will be the normal price and everything. But there are a lot of people that need a building and they don't know how to get it. And I know how to get it. And so I'm going to show you how. And based on the people that register, when we see your city and state, we can actually start researching available buildings and available grants in your area to pay for those buildings. So if you know that you need a building paid for, rent and covered, that kind of stuff, or a building built, that whatever that is, that's the place you want to be. And if you know groups that need a building, then you want to refer them. All right.
Is that for next week?
That's going to be the challenge at the end of the month. You remember last month I did the 3-day?
Yes.
This time it might be 5 days. I try not to drag things on, but sometimes you just got to break it down into steps. But that's going to be the long-term training for this month on is how to get a building for free.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all. All right, y'all have a good day. Bye now.
Thank you, Coach. Have a good day.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Coach.
Praying for good news from the transplant center.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
See you.